In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? That's my question to you. Tell me what the context around a strap-on dildo or the rape of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
No, we're talking about public school.
When I tell you that the things that took place on that interview was the kind of things that would set your blood to boil, I'm not joking about it. But for you to step forward on a screen and to then proceed to defend descriptions of a little person being abused sexually by an adult male, something must be completely wrong with you. You know, sometimes you hear people defend something that you think ain't no way you can possibly find a way to defend that. Well, in this event, we're going to talk about something that's indefensible, but for some reason, this individual finds a way to defend it in one of the most ridiculous ways humanly possible. Who are we talking about? Joy Reid of MSNBC. She recently had an interview with the Moms of Liberty leader, and when I tell you that the things that took place on that interview was the kind of things that would set your blood to boil, I'm not joking about it. You see, the conversation surrounded a couple of the books that Moms of Liberty does not want in front of children, especially in the school library. And some of these books have what you would consider explicit imagery, not just in statements, but sometimes in pictures as well. Now, going on to MSNBC, you should also go in with the anticipation that you're going to come under personal attack. You're going to come under a sort of a wall of truth. You can't break through it because the lie is so thick. Well, what you're going to see, and some of these clips are going to be, well, let me just warn you. Do not throw anything at your TV. Do not try and smash your phone into the floor, regardless of how egregiously hard it might be for you not to. Okay? So, here.
Yeah, the question I'm asking is, what is the expertise that you have and other Moms for Liberty advocates have to decide that a book, an award-winning book like All Boys Aren't Blue, isn't appropriate for students to read? What is your expertise?
In what context is a strap-on dildo acceptable for public school? That's my question to you. Tell me what the context around a strap-on dildo of a minor child by a teacher.
Hold on a second.
We're talking about public school.
One moment.
All right.
Why doesn't a liberal parent, for instance, or a parent of an LGBTQ kid, why don't they have a right for their child to just have access to this book? Why is it your right to say they can't?
Now, I'm rubbing my eyes because I'm trying to keep my composure with this one. And I'm trying really hard to stay central, although I cannot really stay central because of her responses. Now, one of two things has to be the case in order for you to defend the kinds of books that they were talking about. One, you're naive and you really don't think that people are nefarious by their nature and you are just a sold person on the goodness of mankind. Or you're defending something that you yourself are a part of. Now, I'm not saying that she's one way or the other. I have an inclination based on who she is, the things she's defended before, and the kinds of people she's in cahoots with. One being, of course, her husband. And if you saw them, you will understand the way I'm leaning because I'm not going to say it out loud. Let's just say something about him seems a little too sweet. Okay, we're just going to put it like that. It's a little too sweet to be true. Now, whether or not that affects the relationship to the point where she will defend something as egregious as a man speaking about abusing a young child, that's a whole nother story and kettle of fish altogether. It might even be rotted fish, but who knows? But for you to step forward on a screen and to then proceed to defend descriptions of a little person being abused sexually by an adult male, something must be completely wrong with you. I don't know what's wrong, but something's off. Now, we're going to talk about that individual specifically, and I'm going to try and talk to them. I'm not sure they'll listen, but I gotta try, right? That's our goal, is to try. Miss Reid, I have a couple of questions for you. On what spectrum of reality is it okay for the trauma of one child to be put forth into the public eye for the rest of the children on earth to consume? Okay, let's run your thought process down the line. Children should know about this. Is the explicit definition and description of what happened to the child Is it needed to be seen by other children, or do you just need to let children know that this abuse happens? Do I need to go into detail? Do I need to describe every second of that nasty act to a child in order for them to understand? You said in your own words that, hey, children might identify with this. That's why we need to tell them.
To tell a parent who wants their child, who might feel seen by this story, why don't they have the right? Why don't they have the right as a parent to say, my child can have access to this book?
So you're trying to tell me that because another child was also abused, we must then publicize it in a book for the rest of the children to consume? That makes any sense to you? Now, if my child is going to a public school, if I want to address them and tell them about possible abuses that could happen in today's world, that's my job. That's what a parent does. I don't need a book, nor do I need a book describing the acts to be read to my child. What that ends up doing is creating two things, either trauma or intrigue. I want neither. I don't want either included in my child's psyche. But for some reason, you think all children need that. And when a parent steps up to say, no, not in a public school, leave it to the parents, that's a problem for you? Now, I don't know how you raise your children. I don't know if you have an inclination towards that type of behavior. But if you are defending it, I can only assume that you do. Now, you can come at us and say that we're defaming you, but these are questions. I don't assume every parent does something, but when a parent steps up to defend something that will innately harm a child and say it's okay, I have to then introduce my mind to something called deductive logic. Either you're okay if it happens to yours, or you yourself have already participated in that act with your own. I don't know which is true, and I don't know which is false, but like I said, I am going based on what you defend. If you are defending that act, I have the right then to assume something about you. But of course, if you want to clarify for us, our door is always open. You can come and clarify for us what exactly you felt the need to defend a man speaking about a sex toy and using it on a child. I would love to hear why you thought that was okay to defend. Not just defend, but feel the need to tell somebody that every child should hear about it. Or better yet, that no child should be kept from it. It's almost as though if I were to go to a zoo and the cage to a lion's den is open, and you walked up behind me and you say, all right, your child should go in there to go and see what a lion would do. I already know what a lion would do. It would eat my child. Yeah, but experience is the best teacher. And then you take my child, throw them in the lion's den and close the door and said, now see, this is what we're going to see is now what's going to happen, because lions they're awesome animals. I'm sure your child could learn a lot. 5 minutes later, my child is no more. Eat up, yip, yip, yip. And then you're like, well, I guess that was one of the bad lions. No, Joy. I would much rather keep my own parental rights and say, you know what? From what I know about lions, I don't want my kids around it. And if I don't want my kid around it, you don't get the reasons to tell me I should put my child around it, because I know the dangers of that lion. If you want to put your child in front of that, feel free to go put your child inside the cage and close the door. But you know what will happen then? You're going to come complaining that this lion needs to be put down because it harmed your child, while you were the same one that decided to go put your child in harm's way. Now, suppose this happens. Let's go back to the book. A child reads it around an adult who has in their mind something ill towards kids. And they use that book to groom that child, specifically yours. And over time, this book is consistently read, and they try to make the child believe that what is happening is a good thing. Now, the child can't come tell you that they were touched inappropriately by somebody. Why? It's just a book. Why would anything bad happen? They're just reading the book. Now they've groomed your child, and who knows who else, because you decided that all children need to hear about this. No, they don't. Children have innocence, and that's where it should stay, innocent. You want to have that kind of relationship when you're an adult? That's on you. But trust me, we'll be damned if you try and put that crap in front of our kids. We have rights still as parents. And if you want us to put our kids in the public schools and then try to force and coerce us to put stuff in front of our children that we don't want there, we also have the right to say no. We have the right to protest that. The same way you may think you have the right to put it in, we have the right to say, take it out. The school will decide eventually, but we have the right to make as much noise as we want, raise as much dust, ruckus as we feel necessary to accomplish the ends we want, because we also have children there. This nonsense is not going to stop with just Joy Reid. The amount of hoops she had to jump through by not answering, first of all, the question she was asked, but to try and flip the script. You have to be a special kind of evil to try and flip something so evil into something good. But then again, if you know that your partner is part of the entire situation when it comes to the Hollywood and China, you would understand why she would defend it. You would understand why. She has a line to keep. She has it to toe. She has a narrative to push. And she's doing her best to keep it going. Now, if she would like to defend herself, which I doubt she would, she can come on and say something. But she's not going to. Here's why she's not going to. In order to defend something that egregious to somebody like Too Strong, you would have to have facts on your side. She don't have that. You would have to have some sort of a reasoning. She don't have that. You would have to tell me that you'd be fine with your kids being spoken to like that. She won't say that, which is why she won't come on to defend it. The person that she was speaking to did not do a good job of defending it. Why? Because we have been told we need to be nice. We don't need to be nice anymore. We don't, especially when facing evil. No one evil will ever back down to a nice person. We have rights. We have the right on our side, and we should have the gumption, guts, and balls to do it. Stand up. Be loud if you have to. Push back. Because if you don't, they're going to get this stuff pushed further and further upon our kids. And before too long, they're going to start doing object-variated lessons in the class, where they're not only going to read the book, they're going to bring demonstrations too. They already had the story hour. It is only a matter of time. If we stay silent, stay passive, your children are going to come home saying, hey, you know what we did in school today? And they're going to start acting out for you in real time what books like that said to them, traumatizing your kid for the next generation. You have two choices. Sit back, shut up, and be silent like a sheep, or chime in like the lion you are and go ham.